How's going guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Moka, Ruby and Akua. Part 4. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Daikuro seized Naruto aggressively and crashed her lips into his, her serpentine tongue snaking into his mouth. The blonde was startled by the vampire elder's abrupt action as she moaned into her rough kiss. Daikuro pushed Naruto away violently and licked her lips. I finally understand why my Kalyu loves you. Your blood is both stimulating and intoxicating. I almost lost myself there. Naruto felt disgusted as he averted his furious gaze. Now that the contract is done, I'm sure you will oblige to the deal. Daikuro stood up and eyed the blonde patronizingly. Don't forget who holds the leash, my fox. This is it for the day. I shall have fun torturing you. If you could excuse me, I have a damsel in distress to save. The vampire elder chortled triumphantly before she marched out of the chamber. Naruto touched his neck, the spot where Daikuro had bitten him. His wound had ameliorated at an astounding rate. The blonde shook his head, dismissing his pessimistic thoughts. He had accepted the deal in order to save Moka. There was no turning back. Naruto stood up and trailed after the vampire elder. Daikuro bit her finger and dripped a few drops of her blood on Moka's lips. My blood has purifying properties. It is the reason why I am immune to your blood. Naruto stood wordlessly behind the vampire elder, who was sucking her finger. The blonde was surprised as Moka's pale face regained its healthy complexion. The vampire elder swirled around and smirked malevolently at the impassive blonde. I have kept my part of the deal. Now, it is your turn. Daikuro strode past Naruto and caught a glimpse of despair displayed on his features. I will enjoy breaking you, my fox. I will make your memories bittersweet. I will make you shed those tears of sorrow until you can't cry. I will make you live the rest of your life with a heavy heart. Naruto clenched his fist as he recalled his treasured memories with Moka. A year ago. Are you sure this is okay, Ani-sama? You wanted to see fireflies, right? Naruto smirked as he held his sister's wrist with a tender demeanor. Just follow me, alright? I promise you will be happy to see what I'm going to show you. Moka smiled and nodded fervently. K. They ambled through an underground passage. Moka clung to the fabric of Naruto's dark trench coat, unwilling to let go. The blonde draped a reassuring hand over her shoulder and quickened his pace. When he reached his destination within the tenebrous dungeon, Naruto pulled down a lever and an ancient gate slid open. The blonde brought Moka into a chamber, which was illuminated by countless intermittent lights. Moka was flabbergasted as she stared in awe at the display of wonder before her. She raised a hand and opened her palm, garnering a swarm of beautiful fireflies circulating around her slender fingers. She giggled buoyantly as the thousands of fireflies danced around her. Naruto smiled blissfully before he scooped Moka up suddenly, earning him a cute yelp from the startled girl. Oh Ani-sama. I'll show you around. Naruto levitated into the air and smirked. He sailed through the air as Moka stared in glee at the fireflies, which tailed after them like miniature shooting stars. Where did you find this place, Ani-sama? Naruto smiled. I just found it. Liar. Moka accused. I only said that I wanted to see fireflies a few days ago. You couldn't possibly find it this fast. What can I say? The blonde grinned. I'm awesome. Naruto kicked the air, twisted his trajectory and flew to the apex pillar. The blonde settled comfortably on it. Moka followed suit as she leaned against the blonde. Swinging her legs freely, Moka chirped buoyantly. I want to be with Ani-sama forever. Why? Because only you care for me so much. Moka smiled. Oh? Naruto arched a quizzical brow. You still have Lady Akasha. She loves you. I know. Moka sighed. But you know. Mommy is always busy tending to daddy's work. Nowadays, she rarely has time for me. The blonde ruffled the vampire's silky silver hair. That's why I'm here for you, right? But you must never forget that you cannot rely on me. One day, you will grow up and take on the mantle of a noble vampire. You will find a mate worthy of your stature and you will get married. You will have kids and so on. But Moka shook her head. I just want to stay happy with you for the rest of my life. Naruto chuckled. You're just like Kokoa-chan. What's wrong with that? The silver-haired vampire pouted. There is nothing wrong with that. The blonde sighed. But you cannot be dependent on me. You have to grow up someday. No. If I have to leave you, then I'd rather be a little girl and never age. Moka placed a finger on her lips and pondered. Just like Peter Pan. Yup. I just want to be like these fireflies, sticking on you forever. Naruto pulled Moka to him affectionately and smiled. Your innocence is precious to me, Moka-chan. You have been sheltered for your entire life and showered with love. I would not expect you to understand the cruelty of the outside world and I would never want you to. If possible, I will shelter you forever. Moka giggled and nodded. Present. Naruto caressed the unconscious Moka's cheek and sighed dejectedly. For your safety, for your health, this is worth it, Moka-chan. Forgive me for what I must do. Your eternity is no longer in my possession. The blonde spun around and strolled out of the chamber. Daiakuro's butler stood beside his giggling master, who was toying with her cup of white wine. Milady. Yes. May I ask? The butler said with a tone of uncertainty. Stop with the ambivalence and speak. The butler cleared his throat. What has amused you this much? Daiakuro broke into a guffawing frenzy. I simply find it hilarious to think that a little parlor trick would make that fox my little plaything. The virus that I spoke of was a nonsensical enticement. It is true that such a virus exists, but it only lingers in the depth of hell. It doesn't surface in our realm. It was I who spiked that abomination's food. In fact, there is no cure for that poison. The only thing that is close enough to be considered a cure is my blood, but even if I chose not to offer the girl my blood, she would still have recovered in the coming week. So you have deceived Prince Naruto. Prince? The vampire elder scowled. That fox is no prince, but I intend to make him a king. As for lying to him about Moka's imminent demise, it is all part of my plan. The butler blinked in confusion. Pardon? Aren't you tormenting him? Daiakuro smirked. The 66 seals of the Armageddon. In order to free that fox's true potential, the 66 seals must be broken. There are a total of 666 seals. However, the rule of the game states that shattering 66 of any of the seals will suffice. Tormenting him and drowning him in despair is one of the many seals, and I have broken it. Once all the required seals are broken, he will be restored and the world will end with his coming. The butler was surprised. I thought you hated that boy. Why are you aiding his growth? This whole fiasco is for the sake of breaking the seals, nothing less. I still have a few more seals to go. Daiakuro smiled. As for my hatred towards that fox and why am I helping him, well. A few days ago. Listening to soothing music, Naruto sat on his bed and contemplated. Moka-chan has contracted something. A vampire's anatomy and physiology is immune to illness. Hence, they don't get sick. Father's library has only limited information about the virus. Her symptoms are too drastic to actually pinpoint what exactly is the problem. In other words. The blonde gritted his teeth. Lady Daiakuro is behind all this. Suddenly, a blinding light enveloped the blonde as the dimension fabric ripped open, startling him in the process. When the illumination dimmed, a slender pair of hands wrapped around Naruto's neck and a seductive voice cooed from behind. We meet again, Kyubi no Yoko. Naruto blinked as he discerned the bewitching voice of the intruder. I assume. Bingo. Erd's ample bosom pressed firmly against Naruto's back as she inhaled his distinctive scent. The last I checked, we're enemies. Well, I figured everybody deserves a guardian angel. The goddess grinned. Even the devil deserves one. Naruto tilted his head and raised a dubious brow. And you expect me to believe your bluff? Erd sighed and shook her head as she assumed a serious demeanor. I'm here to warn you. Warn me? I think it is time for you to know about the truth behind your powers. Erd settled herself behind the blonde and leaned against his back. And the 666 seals of Armageddon that keep you and your sanity in check. Naruto sat on his chair, custom built with the finest leather, and moved a queen piece across the chessboard. Checkmate. The blonde smirked as he picked up his glass of wine and stared through the panel of windows at the scenery. Lady Daiakuro must be thinking that I have no idea what she is intending to do. I bet she is laughing in victory now. The Hellion virus has no cure, her blood serves only to speed up the recovery rate. I have already found out about the virus the day before she contacted me. As for the blood seal, well, let's just say no witch spell can control me. Well, I have to thank you for that, Erd-chan. Tendrils of darkness emerged from the shadows and from them an entity materialized. Erd, the enchanting goddess, ambled in a sensual gait towards Naruto and sat suggestively on his lap. Naruto caressed her cheeks and smiled benignly. I wouldn't be able to pull off this act without your aid, my queen. Oh? Now I am a flimsy chess piece in your uncanny game? Of course not. Naruto scowled. Thanks to you, I predicted every move up her sleeves. As for the intricate seals, I will have Lady Daiakuro to do all the work for me. Then why the act? Erd questioned. The blonde beat a brow. Act? The way you treat that succubus is definitely unruly. You saw everything, huh? Naruto sighed. I have no choice. I must force all of them to leave. Even without Lady Daiakuro's command, I would still make sure they move away from this castle. Their lives are at risk if they stay here any longer than they should. No doubt, Lady Daiakuro would hurt them in any ways possible. I cannot allow Lady Daiakuro to use them as part of her insidious plan to break the seals. Who knows what's next? The next seal might involve spearing any one of them with a pike. Then what do you have in mind? The blonde took a sip from his wine and grinned. I chose their safety. I will send Kokoa-chan and Kalyua-chan back to England, Moka-chan to Japan and Akuha-chan to China. When they've reached a certain age, I will handle the mandatory documentation and transfer them to Yakai Academy so they can reunite. As for Mori-chan and Lilith-chan, I have the perfect plan. Are you certain about this? I'm at the point of no return. Naruto stared dispassionately at the chandelier hung on his ceiling and sighed. Once all of them are out of Lady Jaikuro's reach, I can dance the tango of war with her in peace. The fact that she has used Moka as bait to lure me into her trap serves my point. All of them are in danger as long as Lady Jaikuro desires my powers. Grinned impishly as she tapped Naruto's nose with her gloved finger. You sure are a great actor. When you cried in front of that witch, I thought you almost lost it. Turns out, even I was fooled. What? The blonde smiled. If I'm going to present her an illusion, I might as well give her the full package. Naruto opened his palm, and watched in awe as azure flames ignited upon his fingertips before the fire merged and morphed into the shape of a miniature planet hovering above his hand. She thought she had me dancing in her hand. Truth is, it is me who has her dancing in my hand. I see. Nodded. Can you bear with it? The loneliness. I will endure the loneliness in order for them to have a better life. Naruto's eyes flared undying determination before he turned his attention to Right now, nobody knows of your existence. I have already cloaked you with my demonic essences, a powerful censor like Lady Jaikuro wouldn't be able to differentiate between you and me. And because nobody knows of your existence, it grants me a greater advantage over that woman. Will you stand by my side, I'm a runaway. Whispered sultrily into Naruto's ear. My best bet is you, my darling. Though I must say, the coming future will be a harsh path to walk. You will have to put up a mask before your loved ones. Why don't you just disintegrate that witch? Naruto smiled sadly. Lady Jaikuro is an influential figure in the Vampire Council. You, of all people, should understand the reason why I must do this. You are, after all, an elder sister amongst your siblings. Lady Jaikuro isn't stupid. She has planned ahead. If I killed her, thousands of vampires serving faithfully under her hegemony would assassinate my sisters. I'm sure she has backups. Those mindless goons serve only her, no one else, not even my father. I must play this game cautiously. Sounds like your life is overwhelmed with burdens. The blonde grinned. If that's the case, why are you here? I am the devil. A goddess like you shouldn't be associating with me. Flicked Naruto's forehead playfully. I told you, didn't I? I am a runaway. I have no place to go. You will take care of me, won't you? I have better things to worry about. Naruto gently hoisted bridal style and tucked her into his bed. Don't leave this room. I have to finish some unfinished business. I'll wait for you. Smiled. You sure are a strange woman, chan. The goddess sighed. Perhaps. The grand obsidian Rolls-Royce Phantom was parked outside the royal palace of the Shuzen residence. The chauffeur strolled to the door and opened it, allowing the emperor to step out of his luxurious transport. Issa offered a hand to Akasha, who gladly accepted it, and they ascended the stairs to their home. A maid bowed politely as she stood on the doorway. Welcome back, Issa-sama, Akasha-sama. Before they could march to their chamber, a flicker of brilliant flame ignited and the fire morphed into a silhouette of a figure. Father, mother, I'm glad you've returned. Akasha arched a brow. What's with the formality, Naruto-chan? Something happened while we were away? No. Naruto smiled as the ominous shadow hid half of his face. Everything is under control. I'd like to talk to the both of you in private. Whatever the matter is, Issa interjected. Your mother and I have just returned. Naruto immediately interrupted. If it wasn't an exigent circumstance, I would not request an audience from the both of you. The Vampire King sighed. Very well. Make it quick, shall we? What? Akasha yelled in disbelief. How could you even suggest something as preposterous as separating your sisters? What happened, Naruto-chan? Tell me. Naruto retained a placid facade and spoke monotonously. I personally find it beneficial for them. Akuha is used to the Oriental culture. I believed she should return to China and complete her studies overseas. As for Kalyua and Kokoa, I believe England is both suitable and compatible for their lifestyles. They should study abroad. As for Moka, Japan is an ideal place for her. They must learn independence, and we must cultivate their growth. Learning to mingle with the human society is the solution. But, Akasha protested vehemently. Kokoa and Kalyua have never been to England before. Moka has been living in this castle ever since her birth. I'm afraid they might not be able to adapt to the sudden changes. I think we should not hinder their childhood and… Hinder? The blonde chuckled. They have been sheltered for their whole lives. Unlike Akuha, they know nothing about the lives of others who are living in poverty. They have everything they want, while others are suffering under the harsh night of winter. They have everything they need, while others have to fight for their lives. If this continues, I can assure you that they will be brought up with an ignorant mindset. Issa stroked his chin. However, Akasha was bemused and upset. Naruto, where did you get this idea from? Why would you all of a sudden propose this? It is all for their sake, Naruto said. And have you asked for their opinions? Issa queried in curiosity. There is no need for me to indulge myself in such mundane matter. The blonde replied. They will accept it. Regardless of whether they refuse or not, the plan must go on. Akasha shook her head and glared cynically at the blonde. This is wrong. We shouldn't pass judgment on their lives. This is right. Naruto countered. And I'm not playing God in their lives. I am only doing it for their sake. I will not accept this. Issa sighed. Actually, this is a plausible idea. Issa? Akasha chided. Naruto is right. The emperor said with a heavy tone. I brought Akua to this castle because I wanted her to tame her violent nature. I have not seen many signs of hostility ever since she arrived. As for Moka, she is pampered. For noble vampires like us, survival of the fittest is our tradition. I'm afraid Moka is not ready. As for Kalua, her innocent heart is unwilling to unleash bloodshed. Coco is still pure and she can be easily swayed by agendas. Naruto's idea is productive in the long run. Akasha growled and snapped her attention to Naruto. What about your promises? You promised you would protect them. Even though I detested the idea of how you wish to bear the burden all by yourself, this is wrong. Plain and simple. The vampire elder shook Naruto's shoulders. Tell me, Naruto, what's going on? Did something happen while we're away? Tell me, Naruto-chan. Say something. Nothing happened, mother. The blonde smiled. Like I said, everything is under control. What do you think of my proposal, father? Issa narrowed his eyes as he studied Naruto's unreadable features. This boy I couldn't even differentiate between the lies and truth in his words. Impartial and wise, this boy has reached beyond my expectations. But, his growth is stunning. I dare say, without my telepathic powers, I can decipher anybody's emotions. However, this boy I don't even know what he's thinking. The emperor sighed and conceded. After Moka's 10th birthday celebration ceremony, I will announce this news to them. Akasha spun around and slammed a fist on the table, crushing the furniture into bits. Issa. Akasha. This is for the sake of our children. I can't believe this. The vampire elder stared at Naruto and gritted her teeth. I'm disappointed in you. Akasha strode past the blonde and stormed out of the chamber. Don't mind her, Naruto. Issa smirked. I'm glad, despite your attachments with your sisters, you can still be unprejudiced about their welfare. It is as you have taught me, father. One should not let their emotions cloud their judgment. Venturing through the hallway while humming a blissful tune, Naruto took a sharp turn and halted when he met Morrigan. The succubus glared lividly at him before snatching his wrist and dragged him to her bedroom. As she shut the door, Morrigan's devilish wings sprouted from her back and her canine fangs sharpened. You can fool everybody with your blasphemy, you can fool even yourself with lies, but you cannot fool me. Naruto avoided the succubus's furious gaze. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play those silly mind games with me. Morrigan growled. I know your quirks. When you're in deep thoughts, you sigh often. When you're genuinely happy, you will drink white wine. When you're nervous, you fidget with your fingers unconsciously, like what you're doing now. The blonde blinked and switched his attention to his finger, which was twitching. Naruto immediately hid his hand behind his back and looked away. Morrigan, I'm sure you're confused. Go get some rest. I have other important things to attend to. Look, I just need to know the truth. The truth is, Naruto interjected. You are a useless thing to me. Your father, Belial, Grand Emperor of the Fourth Hell, was exiled by his council. That made you a fugitive. I don't need. Morrigan slapped the blonde. Naruto froze by the stung from his reddened cheek before he turned his glare of indifference on the stunned succubus. What horrified Morrigan was the fact that his glare had intensified its ferocity as his eyes decolorized into a sinister crimson with feral slits, displaying blatant umbrage at the audacity of the succubus. Somewhat, his fury subsided as he stifled a chuckle. What's so funny? Morrigan growled. How can you be laughing after making someone a fool? Like I said, I don't know what you are talking about. Why did you tell me you don't love me when you clearly do? Why are you being evasive of the topic? Did you come all the way here just to ask me this inane question? Naruto smirked and took a glance at his watch. At this time? If you're wondering, I need some sleep. Are you not going to tell me? The succubus persisted. Naruto sighed. I told you before. My duty is to attend to your every need. Now that your status as the crown princess of your kingdom is on the verge of denaturalization, your value is negligible to say the least. Have I answered your question? What? It's not like we. Without hesitation, Morrigan pressed her lips roughly on Naruto's. Spontaneously, a series of memories projected into her vision, and she saw his formulated schemes and his unfathomable list of sophisticated tactics to overrule Jaikuro's reign in a flash. Before she could indulge further, she was violently sprung back to reality. The blonde grasped the succubus's shoulders and jerked her away, his face the epitome of utter bewilderment and consternation. "You saw it, didn't you?" Morrigan was in a trance before she regained conscious. "How dare you?" The succubus attempted to slap the blonde once more, but he caught her offending hand and snarled. "Don't you ever read my memories? You understand me?" Unwilling to submit to Naruto's oppressing will, Morrigan snapped. "Why you?" Reacting to impulse, the succubus threw herself on the blonde, but he had anticipated her assault as he adroitly snaked his arm around her waist and tossed her to the bed before he climbed atop her and pinned her limbs dexterously with his weight. They shared a silent moment as they glared at each other before the blonde leaned closer to the succubus's ear and whispered softly. "Do you know why the little mermaid died and dissolved into bubbles?" Morrigan kept dreadfully quiet. "Because she loved the wrong man." "No, you're wrong," the succubus countered. "She didn't love the wrong man. She believed in love. She didn't regret loving the man, even at the brink of death. Do you know why, Naruto-kun?" Naruto closed his eyes and averted his attention away Morrigan's piercing pair of emerald eyes. Because she truly loved the man. Even if destiny had to force her to suffer for the love she cherished, even if she had to walk the rest of her life with the terrible sensation of blades slicing her feet with every step she took, she would be willing to accept her fate. The blonde caressed the succubus's cheek and wiped the cascading tear from her eye. Is she willing to accept a fate worse than hell? A fate where she ceases to exist and becomes nothingness? A fate where she is forever tangled in the web of incessant conflicts? Is she willing to go to that extremity just for the sake of someone she loves? If it is for the man she loves, Morrigan captured Naruto in a passionate kiss and moaned lustfully in their loving embrace. Pushing the blonde gently away, the succubus smiled and stroked his bangs. She is willing to accompany him to the depths of hell. I accept this destiny because fate makes a dream so far beyond any of my expectation a reality. I don't want you to seal your heart away from me, Naruto-kun. Mori-chan, Morrigan tapped Naruto's lips with her finger. If you're broken, I'll mend the shattered pieces. If you're out of love, I will shower you with my love. If you're down, I'll pick you up. And for all the joy you brought to me, and all those times you stood by me when I needed you the most, my world is a better place because of you. For the love you have given to me, I will stand by your side." Naruto sighed and grasped the succubus's hand, giving a peck on her fingers. "Are you sure about this? If you make this decision, there is no turning back." "I don't mind." The blonde pushed himself away and sat beside Morrigan as he slicked his hair to the back. "Regardless, the party has already started. I can't end my orchestra with someone playing the wrong note in my play. I have already started the ball rolling, I cannot let it stop. You want me to play my part as the damsel in distress?" Naruto smirked. "Not really, maybe a mooing cow in distress. I'll bite you for that snarky comment." The succubus licked her lips before she frowned. "But I don't appreciate how you attempted to shake me away. With those hurtful words. You know what I have to do to keep you protected?" Naruto traced his sight to Morrigan's lithe frame and sighed. "I have no choice." The succubus pinched his nose playfully and smirked. "Everybody has a choice. Promise me you won't do that to me again." "Not on purpose, I won't." Naruto smiled. "So, will you still forgive me? For the sake of your show, I think I can deal with it." The blonde cupped her chin and grinned. "I guess the first phase of my plan is ruined." Morrigan raised a brow, retaining her serene smile. "I sense a change of plan. I guess you know me well after all." Shizuka sat on her swing, staring contently at her sakura trees, blossoming the countless vibrant petals glowing under the moonlight like a million falling stars. Unsatisfied with the thick chunk of maroon clouds concealing the granite sky, Shizuka's vivid vermilion eyes illuminated and she swiped her arm. Simultaneously, the obstructing clouds were dispelled, revealing darkness with glitters of light sprayed all over the sky. "I didn't know your powers extended to the point where you can control the course of the weather." Naruto applauded. "I must say you're amazing." That coming from the notorious conqueror of hell. Shizuka smiled as she turned her attention to the blonde sitting beside her. "I'm honored. So, what brings you here, Naruto-sama?" The blonde chuckled. "I'm just fulfilling a promise. Keeping a lonely princess company and all that." Shizuka smiled. "I appreciate it. But I know you didn't come here to tell me those ludicrous jokes of yours or entertain me with your charms. So, why are you here?" Naruto knelt on the ground upon one knee and smirked at the vampire princess. "I need your help in the coming events, Shizuka Haim. The Zeptida Corporation is a multinational company and the largest private sector in the states. With your company's net assets, it towers over mine. I don't think the Hayu Industries will be any help to your enterprise. The silver-haired vampire cooed. Your dilemma is not related to some financial predicament, I assume. The blonde stood up and chuckled. No, I need your help to get rid of someone for me, Shizuka Haim. Your influence in the Vampire Council is both respected and feared. With you as my ally, it will make my work far easier. And what might that be? You should know the answer. Shizuka simply giggled. Moka jolted up from her sleep and stared at him, horrified, at the canvas of her portrait on her wall. The piece of professional art was dedicated by her beloved brother, who had painted it for her 7th birthday. Easing her agitated heartbeat, Moka stared at the glass of water on her table and blinked. Oh, Ani-sama. You're awake. The silver-haired vampire spun around and saw Naruto beaming in relief at her. Ani-sama, have you been here the whole time? Naruto smiled and ruffled her soft, albeit disheveled silver locks. Of course. I had to accompany you, in case you woke up and couldn't find me. How are you feeling? Moka managed a small smile. A little headache, but I feel much better now. That's good. The blonde pulled the girl to his broad chest and kissed her forehead with a tender grace. Everything will be okay. I will always be here for you. I will be your strength if you're weak. I will be your voice if you can't speak. I will give you back your faith if you lose it. As long as I am breathing, I will always protect you. Because you love me? Moka smiled as she nuzzled into Naruto's embrace. Because I love you. The blonde rested his chin on his sister's head and sighed. Unbeknownst to the pair, a silhouette dissolved into the shadows. I understand, grandfather. Akua bowed respectfully to the grotesque monstrosity before her. After Moka's 10th birthday, I will lure Lady Akasha into a death match. With her sacrificed blood, I will be able to revive you. The dark-haired vampire spun around and ascended the stairs. And when I revive Alucard, his powers shall be mine. I will devour every ounce of his strength until he withers away. After that, and only that, will I be able to unleash rightful vengeance upon those who have wronged you, mother. But the accursed blood of the devil, as well as the fabled blood of the Shinso, my sovereignty will be absolute. The royal magenta rings, illuminating in Akua's eyes, morphed into a black crescent, signifying her complete control over the unholy blood of the devil. Akua giggled with glee before she broke into a sinister guffaw, and the horrifying echo reverberated throughout the chamber. Vengeance shall be mine. Morrigan was combing her silky jade-colored hair and closed her cosmetic cabinet. She snapped her fingers, and the shadows enwrapped an entreating entity. Suddenly, the darkness dispersed into shreds, and Jauro stood behind the succubus with a malefic smirk plastered on her features. This is surprising. What do you want, Jauro? Oh? Your lack of formality is irksome as usual. The vampire elder folded her arms and smiled. However, I am here for business. Morgan arched a brow. I don't want anything from you, especially associating myself with the likes of you. Ouch. Jauro feigned hurt as she stood behind Morgan and caressed the succubus's soft complexion. I know we do have an unpleasant past. But that's history now. I am aware that you have already chosen Naruto as your mate. It is an excellent choice. He is charming, a debonair individual and a guardian. He has a bright future and will eventually inherit the mantle as the conqueror of hell. Whoever becomes his bride will definitely gain immense wealth and reputation. Just get straight to the point, Jauro. Morgan snarled. The vampire elder smirked. Well, it is because he is such a magnificent prize. I mean, everybody is trying to get a piece of him, angels inclusively. The succubus narrowed her eyes. What are you implying? I am a censor, my dear. I can discern between an angel's spirit signature and a demon's presence within a few kilometers radius. No matter how hard one may struggle, it is futile to hide from me. I am much capable of detecting the presence of a holy entity as acutely as possible. Jauro smirked. I don't know what that fox is trying to do, but I do know something for certain. Morgan blinked. The jarred image of a woman with beatific features jolted her impulse. The succubus swore she saw a faint woman in Naruto's memory. If only I could resist Naruto-kun's power, I would be able to see the truth. He is hiding a goddess in his room. And why should I believe you? Jauro's scheming smirk widened as she opened her palm and displayed a few strands of silver hair to the succubus. I found this near the fox's chamber. You might fool yourself and tell me this hair belongs to Moka, however, I'm sure you can differentiate between that girl's scent and this alluring fragrance that is emitting from these strands of hair. How would I know you didn't perform some magic spell on those hair strands? The vampire elder sighed. Perhaps I did, but there is something I am definitely incapable of doing. Jauro extracted a white sparkle of light from the hair as she clawed out the potent angelic energy with her hand, and it vaporized into luminous glitters. I'm sure you can feel it, can't you? It's undeniable. Only someone who possesses the heavenly grace of divinity can emanate this kind of power. Why are you telling me this? You are so in love with that fox that you couldn't see the lies in his words. Jauro sighed. I was once like you. I was blinded by love. I failed to see my destiny until I realized that I was fooled by the love I once cherished so much. Akasha took the man I loved. She took my love away from me forcefully. Because of her, I lost everything. The reason why I am disclosing this to you is because I see myself in you. I certainly do not want to see my tragic fate befall someone else. Morgan averted her gaze. You can lie to me, you can lie to your sister, but you cannot lie to yourself. One day, you have to face your own demons. Jauro twirled around and walked to the door. I don't know what that fox is planning, or why is he associating himself with a goddess. However, locking a goddess in his bedroom and not telling anybody about this, don't you find this a little suspicious? The vampire elder smirked malignantly when she caught a glimpse of Morgan's eyes, which were displaying a mixture of confusion and a hint of fury. Morgan walked down the tenebrous hallway, her face devoid of any expressions. Her bewildered and uncertain emotions were clouded by her sheer umbrage. Cold sweat formed on her temples and her fists couldn't stop trembling. She bit her lips as she arrived to her destination. Morgan hesitated for a bit before she mustered the temerity to knock on Naruto's door. There is only one way for me to test Naruto-kun. The door opened and Morgan almost wished to run away. She was met by an infectious smile from a mirthful Naruto. Mori-chan, what brings you here? The succubus mumbled. Can I come in? What's the matter? Is there something you wish to talk to me about? Naruto became rigid in his stance, unwilling to budge. Defensiveness. Strike 1. Morgan averted her gaze. I just wish to know, do you trust me? Naruto smiled, but she detected deceit from the blonde. As a noble succubus, her empathic abilities were paramount and she sharply discerned the involuntary facial expression that betrayed his pretense. Why yes, of course. What's the matter, Mori-chan? Deception. Strike 2. Morgan blinked. Naruto-kun, are you hiding anything from me? Hesitation. Strike 3. No. Naruto frowned. What's the matter? We promised never to hide anything from each other. Why would I hide anything from you? Why are you asking me these questions? Morgan smiled uneasily and shook her head. Nothing. I'm sorry for bothering you. The succubus walked away, allowing the shadows to conceal her sorrowful tears. She covered her mouth, trying to suppress her sobs. He promised me he wouldn't lie to me. So Naruto-kun has never trusted me from the start. I understand now how much betrayal hurts. This inconceivable treachery is beyond my forgiveness. I trusted him with my life. I put my heart and soul in him. I give him everything and apparently it is not enough. What more does he wants from me? What was that all about? Blinked. Naruto shrugged. I don't know. Mori-chan is being weird lately. She asked me a few off-the-wall questions and then went off. Girls. The goddess rolled her eyes. Typical reaction. But you better be wary. I overheard those questions. I must say she is a smart one. The blonde arched a questioning brow. Smart? She is testing you. Testing me? Naruto scoffed indignantly. Why would she want to test me? On what grounds? And what gives you that idea? Smirked. Let's just say my woman's intuition usually hits the mark. You better be prepared. Morgan Eansland may be anything but she ain't plain. I can tell she is the type of girl who will not go down without dragging a couple of sacrifices with her to hell. I sense something bad is coming our way. Jauro swirled her glass of wine and smiled malignantly at her reflection. Morgan sat quietly before the vampire elder, staring dispassionately at the antique carpet. Jauro took a graceful sip and clicked her tongue, savoring the delicious flavor of her wine. Placing the glass on the table, Jauro stood up and glided towards the succubus. So, how did it go? Morgan bit her lip. He failed my tests. I see. The vampire elder pursed her lips and draped a reassuring hand over Morgan's slender shoulders. Men. They always lie to you, faking their love with their flatteries and sweet talk. Trust me for someone who knows. Issa cheated my feelings. Naruto cheated your feelings. Like father, like son. Women like us are the victims here. Why are you helping me? Jauro frowned, but inwardly, she was delighted to see the hurt and anguish gleaming in Morgan's tearful eyes. I told you, didn't I? I don't want you to be me. I don't want you to be fooled by the lies from that wretched fox. Let's put our quandary aside. Let's extinguish the flames of hatred from our hearts and forge a new beginning. Are you using me as a pawn in your twisted games? The vampire elder feigned innocence as she grasped her chest and blinked. Twisted games? Did I lie to you about the fox's betrayal? Did I lie to you about the fox's mistress? Tell me, Morgan. Did I lie to you or did your beloved Naruto lie to you? You're an intelligent girl. I'm sure the answer is obvious to you. Morgan swallowed hard. I gave you the truth. No. I opened your eyes to the truth. Jaikuro clutched Morrigan's shoulders and stared fiercely at the perturbed succubus. I want you to trust me and tell me the truth. I want you to expose that fox's perfidious scheme to me. I want to know everything. And what do I get in return? Morrigan's melancholy pair of lifeless eyes flared with untamed rage, her tone was laced in bitterness and vehemence. Jaikuro smirked unscrupulously. Sweet vengeance. Alua beamed as she sewed through a layer of fabric with her needle. There were bags of cotton stored in her room and a manual for designing teddy bears. Moka's birthday would be a grandiose party held in their extravagant castle. There would be notable guests attending the celebration. As a sister, she must present something to her beloved Moka as a token of her love. This bunny rabbit will surely make Moka-chan happy. I'm sure of it. Coco stuck her tongue juvenilely out at her blonde sister. No bunny rabbit can outmatch my trusty bat weapon. I'm gonna go to the Forest of Doom and find me one bat that can transform into any weapon I want. I bet Moka One-E-sama would love my present. Alua pouted. But bunny rabbit. Shut your face, One-E-chan. Go sew your sissy half-ass bear/bunny freak. Coco smirked and leaped out of the window. I'm gonna win Moka One-E-sama's affection this time. The blonde vampire whimpered. But my bunny rabbit is not a freak. Naruto stood rigid as the vampire elder scrutinized him. The moment he was summoned by Jaikuro to her chamber, the blonde knew the vampire elder was up to something. How are you, my lovely fox? Naruto remained dreadfully aloof. I am fine, Milady. Jaikuro smirked. You can fool your father. You can fool yourself. You can even fool your precious sisters. But you cannot fool me. I'm afraid I don't follow. The vampire elder folded her arms under her bosom, her uncanny smirk plastered on her features and her ferocious gaze piercing his soul. I know about your plans. I know that the blood spell is futile against you. Oh. Shocked, aren't you? Your smart little brain is now trying to process and comprehend everything I'm saying, right? You have me dancing in your palm, did I phrase that correctly? Naruto restrained from displaying his stupefaction and swallowed his consternation. I don't understand. You are hiding an angelic entity in your bedroom, aren't you? The blonde turned stiff. It is a federal crime for demons like us to house entities from heaven. It is like providing a safe haven for our enemies who we loathed. Issa may be lenient, but the Vampire Council won't take this lightly, especially when they know they can have a substantial leverage in their possession. Think of the possibility of having a hostage against heaven. Don't worry though. Jaikuro winked. It will be a little secret between you and me. I won't let anybody know. That is, of course, if you are obedient. Naruto was desperately trying to quench his anger. What? Do you, by any chance, have the old frog and throat thing going on? Speechless I supposed. Maybe. Jaikuro stifled her guffaw and grinned malevolently. Jokes aside, let's talk business, shall we? Since you have broken the truce, I believe I have to step up my game. I will enforce a stricter law. I want you to hurt those precious to you. What? There is no need for physical abuse. The vampire elder smirked. I'm talking about hurting them here. Jaikuro pointed her chest and grinned. It's fun tormenting people in psychological ways, don't you think? You. The vampire elder wagged a disapproving finger. You have been a naughty boy. Kneel. Instantaneously, Naruto was struck by a phenomenal force and he sunk into his knees, gawking at a triumphant Jaikuro. What the fuck? I have taken counteractive measures, my dear fox. Jaikuro tapped her jaw and snickered. I knew that there was this slight possibility that my blood spell wouldn't work, so I implanted a little seal in you. You must be wondering, when did I do it and how did it go unnoticed? Well, it is quite simple. The moment I bit you, I executed it. I really don't wish to use this enslavement seal on you. But since you're such a naughty boy, I must punish you. Naruto growled in a feral manner as he glared viciously at the cruel vampire elder. Oh, don't look at me like that. Jaikuro sighed dramatically. It actually pains me for doing this to you. Well, if you're unsatisfied, you can always go grovel at your father's feet and complain about your misery to him. Tell him how I abused you. Tell him how I enslaved you. But, before you do that, just think for a moment. Your sisters, your treasured goddess hiding in your bedroom, your Morrigan, what could I do to them to make them suffer? I have enough of this bullshit. Naruto, with all his might, roared barbarically as azure flames ignited in his eyes. The blonde stood up groggily, his vision jarred, and he dispelled the curse partially with mere brute strength, much to Jaikuro's befuddled chagrin. Thrusting his appendage forward, Naruto declared. My tolerance has limits. I don't care anymore. I will end you. Screw the ramifications. Tendrils of sapphire flame swirled around a gaping Jaikuro, encompassing her with indomitable inferno. Naruto slowly flexed his fingers, the hellfire reacted vigorously and intended to incinerate the vampire elder. Now die. Gyakuro snapped her fingers, and a shockwave dispersed the fire into harmless sparks, baffling the blonde. Reacting to impulse, Naruto pierced his hand into another dimension and drew out his sword. Swinging the lethal weapon adroitly, Naruto charged blindly forward towards his adversary. Gyakuro swiped her arm, and the blonde was struck by a telekinetic wave before he soared through a wall. I did not give you permission to retaliate against me. Do not underestimate me, Fox. Naruto shoved the debris away and roared ferociously. The sheer intensity of his amplified volume shattered the windows within the chamber. Gyakuro stood firm and sneered with blatant disdain at the blonde. You imbecile. You dare defy me? I did not give you permission to. I am through with this acting. From now on I am nobody's bitch. Naruto blitzed forward as he morphed into a mirage of a thunderbolt and slammed his palm into a hapless Gyakuro's face before throwing her out the window. Much to Naruto's mortification, Gyakuro withstood the tremendous impact and plunged her feet into the ground, skidding to a halt. Wiping the blood from her bruised lips, Gyakuro chuckled. For this humiliation you will not be forgiven, Fox. I shall make you understand why the council fears me. The only man in this world who can make me submit to him is sadly not you. Without remorse, Gyakuro punched the air and ripples materialized in the atmosphere before it erupted. Instantly, Naruto was assaulted by an unearthly force and he coughed out blood. What monster strength. Without even attacking me, she can still land hits on me. This woman, I didn't know she had this much power stored inside her. The vampire elder's frame dissipated into a static blur before she manifested behind the blonde. Naruto shielded himself with his blade from Gyakuro's devastating kick, which embedded a miniature crater into the ground. Impressive. The only man who can take that kind of punishment without dying is my husband. He is the only one who can defeat me. You, who are incapable of surpassing Issa, cannot hope to subdue me. Give it up. You are no match for my prowess. Over my dead body. Naruto grunted as he struggled to triumph over Gyakuro. You disgrace the name of the conqueror. Kyubi no Yoko is far stronger than a whelp like you. With a demented cry, Naruto was consumed by his tribulation and rage. Palpable energy seeped out of his body, and the diabolical power augmented his strength. Gyakuro leaped away and essayed her foreboding predicament. 3 swing tails sprouted from Naruto's back before he charged towards Gyakuro in an astounding velocity. The vampire elder flipped acrobatically above the animalistic Naruto and landed gracefully behind him. Naruto snapped his attention to his back and growled. His crimson eyes accompanied with feral slits, golden locks with vermilion streaks, sharp fangs and threatening snarls had given Gyakuro the unequivocal indication of his insanity. I will rip you apart with my bare hands. Foolish fox. The vampire elder shook her head disapprovingly. I shall make you understand who holds the leash. Meanwhile, Issa, who was attending a meeting in the mortal realm, felt his brow twitching. It was an ominous sign. Something is not right back home. Issa-sama, the Eanes Land Group and Hayu Industry are willing to continue financing Zeptedic Corporation as our company's major shareholders. Our annual expenditure remains on scale with this year's budget approximation. A director declared, snapping the chairman out of his trance. Sir, with Zeptedic support to build military weapons for the world, I am sure the profits will skyrocket. Several generals from various countries nodded in agreement and smiled. The country's Minister of Defense stood up and offered a hand. Chairman Shuzen, with your help and Zeptedic's advanced technologies, I am sure this agreement is mutually beneficial. We will continue to purchase the latest goods from you and your enterprise. Issa smiled formally and shook the official's hand. On behalf of my company, I thank you for your generosity. Gyakuro smirked. Whether you like it or not, I am your mother. You are not my mother. Naruto's distorted voice blared as his anger escalated. You will respect me as your mother. The vampire elder roared. Only I know what's best for you. Shut up. Naruto attempted to claw Gyakuro, but his assault was caught by the vampire elder's firm grip. Gyakuro pulled the blonde to her, invading his comfort zone and snarled. The day you stepped into this house and became the adoptive son of Issa, I admit, I despised you. You and that woman took away my husband's love from me. But I've already gotten over it. I have lost something precious to me, but in exchange, I get something that I've always wanted. I said. Gyakuro tapped Naruto's forehead with 2 fingers and commanded frostily. Revert. Right as if on cue, Naruto's demonic essence evaporated into nothingness. What? Didn't I tell you before? My blood holds purifying properties. I came from a bloodline of royalty. Like Akasha, I am a Shinso-class vampire. Gyakuro narrowed her eyes to vicious slits and she licked her lips sensually. That means I am equal to that woman. It is also the reason why Issa is attracted to Akasha and Ria, the mother of your beloved Akua. Because the 3 of us are classified as Shinso and because we are feared amongst our peers. Why are you telling me this? I guess your father never really tells you anything about his wives, huh? Gyakuro chuckled. I suppose not. The vampire elder spun around and scanned her demolished chamber in distress. The most renowned and powerful variant of a vampire inherits the title as Shinso. Our powers defy description. Ria, Akasha, Gyakuro, Shizuka, these 4 names instill fear into any vampire's heart. Issa took an interest in us. I was like a teenager when I first met Issa. He was charming and I was madly in love. My life was perfect. Gyakuro clenched her fists and bit her lips. But I was naive. When Issa married me, I thought his heart belonged to me. It did until he discovered Ria and her heritage. He started to ignore me. I guess you wouldn't know anything about Akua's family. After Ria's death, he married Akasha. In fact, if it wasn't for Shizuka's infamous epithet as the Bloody Princess, he would have married her too. Amongst the 4 of us, Akasha was not born a noble. She was a mere peasant who captured Issa's heart. And that fact simply infuriates me. Naruto panted. What about Akua's family? The vampire elder grinned. You will find out eventually. Stop wasting your damn time. If you want to kill me, just do it. Kill you? Gyakuro tapped her cheeks impishly and smirked. Don't you think that's a bit redundant? I don't want to kill you. At your current state, I can simply squash you like a bug. However, that would be unnecessary. I want you to simply acknowledge me as your mother. Over my dead body. Hush, my fox. The vampire elder placed a finger on Naruto's lips and smiled. Do you want to know who gave me the information of your plans? Naruto seethed. Morgan Eansland. The blonde widened his eyes. Why should I believe in you? Oh, right. I guess I have forgotten to mention the story of the Little Mermaid or how that silly girl wishes to accompany you to the depths of hell. Do you know why the Little Mermaid dies and dissolves into bubbles? Gyakuro's devious smirk widened as she witnessed Naruto's stupor. Because she loved the wrong man. That is the same thing I said to Mori-chan. Naruto shook his head. No. Mori-chan would never betray me. Precisely. I simply told her something about the goddess hiding in your bedroom and she believed it. She even went to test you. Well, after that ordeal, she consulted me and I told her how foolish she was. Gyakuro sighed dramatically. You are the future king of hell. You are bound to have many wives as you pleased. If she selfishly wants only you by her side and is unwillingly to share, well, this relationship won't last long. What are you saying? Why are you telling her this crap? Am I wrong to say that you do not intend to marry her and be faithful to her till your last breath? Gyakuro scoffed. Please. Your father has flattered me with those blasphemies. I have learned enough to know that you will one day lose interest in your precious Morgan. Naruto's sight was downcast, his bangs cast an ominous shadow over his eyes. Can't you see how shallow that Morgan is? She is impulsive and brash. I simply talked some senses to her and she decided to betray you by spilling out a conspiracy. I can't believe her love for you is so pathetic. Naruto darted forward and snatched Gyakuro's collar. Don't you demean Mori-chan. And what? What are you going to do? The vampire elder retorted. Wake up, you fool. Use that brains of yours to think. Who betrayed you? Who sold you out? Get your facts right. You listen well and clear, Naruto Shuzen. From today onwards, I, Gyakuro Shuzen, will acknowledge you worthy as my son. You will listen to every word I say. If you disobey me, I will not hesitate to punish you. Naruto growled before he stormed out of the decimated chamber. Gyakuro tied her disheveled bangs and folded her arms beneath her bosom. You can come out now. The Kuha emerged from the shadows with a sinister grin plastered on her features. Morrigan brushed her emerald hair and smiled sadly at her reflection in the mirror. Lilith sighed as she jumped onto her sister's bed and said, you have been so upset lately. Ni-chan, is Naruto-sama upsetting you? If he is, I will punch him for you. The green-haired succubus shook her head and beckoned her sister to her side. Lilith beamed and skipped towards her elder sister. Morrigan ruffled her sister's violet hair and smiled. I am sorry for making you worry. I'm fine. Lilith smiled and grasped Morrigan's hand. It's alright for me to worry. Besides, we're sisters, aren't we? Sisters are supposed to be looking out for each other, right? Right. Morrigan smiled radiantly. We're sisters. That fact will never change. Lilith shook her head. If you really wish to ask Naruto-sama about the truth, you need only to ask him. It is that simple. The green-haired succubus sighed. You won't understand. The young succubus scoffed and crossed her hands haughtily. And what do I not understand? Well, if there is really something I don't understand, it is the meaningless fear in your heart that is stopping you from doing whatever you want. If you really wish to ask Naruto-sama whatever you wish to ask, go for it. Lilith-chan, You can do it, Ni-chan. I believe in you. Lilith smiled cheerfully. Morrigan nodded and stood up, firm determination flared within her eyes. Yup. I'm gonna confront Naruto-kun. I'm sure he didn't betray me. I have to believe in him. Are you not going to tell me that fox's heinous plan? Morrigan shook her head and screamed. I believe in Naruto-kun. Whatever he is hiding from me, I'm sure he is trying to protect me. I'm sure of it. Protect you? Jauro scoffed. Are you out of your mind? What would he possibly achieve besides mating with that goddess hiding in his bedroom? All men are the same, aren't they? No. Naruto-kun is different. I'm sure he doesn't want to hurt me. Morgan grinned. Besides, I know nothing of Naruto-kun's plans whatsoever. Naruto-kun has nothing to hide. He has no secrets. And even if he has any, I would rather die than tell you. The vampire elder shook her head and guffawed. Are you that foolish to believe he will remain faithful to you, you wench? The succubus smirked. You don't need to waste your time sowing discord. I will believe neither the words coming out of your mouth nor your pretentious crap. Your stupidity knows no bounds, it seems. Very well then. Go. Go and believe in that measly notion of yours. Don't say I didn't warn you. At the end of the day, who gets hurt, well, you'll find out by yourself. Jauro growled. Morgan spun around and stared emotionlessly through the window. I am willing to accept any consequences of my decision. I believe in Naruto-kun. That's all that matters. As the succubus flounced out of the chamber, Jauro bit her lips. You will regret this, Morgan Eansland. Naruto leaned against a wall, staring impassively at the misty meadow and sparkling river through the window panels. His scarlet eyes switched side uninterestedly to the emerald blue sky as he contemplated. I don't understand what that woman is thinking. She used to hate me. Now, she wants to acknowledge me as her son. She is crazy. But out of all this madness, I never anticipated Morgan would betray me. I'm so confused I can't even think properly. He ambled towards the grand piano and brushed his fingertips across the delicate surface of the musical keyboard. Naruto scowled as a knock sounded upon his door. Naruto-kun, can I come in for a minute? The blonde resisted his urge to snarl and painted a placid facade on his features. Sure, come in. Morgan opened the door and let herself in. She stood meekly in the doorway, unable to meet Naruto's gaze. Hey, I came. Yes. The ambience sunk into a lugubrious melancholy as his crimson eyes illuminated. He studied the succubus critically before his attention switched to the cabinet of wines beside him. What brings you all the way here? I was worried when I heard there was a commotion between you and that woman. Morgan stared timidly at Naruto. I decided to stop by and check on you. Thanks. The blonde replied with an ungrateful tone and muttered callously, did you come all the way here just to say that? I guess you're doing well, even after you betrayed me. Morgan blinked in confusion. What? As you can see, I'm doing great. Naruto averted his eyes. And, as you know, I'm a busy person. I have more important things to deal with than to dwell on your mundane affairs. You need not feel guilty about how you connived with Lady Jauro behind my back. It is a marvelous display of your acting skills. To think that the person whom I trusted the most ends up betraying me. That is my greatest miscalculation. The succubus's eyes widened in trepidation as she apprehended Naruto's words and stammered. Naruto stared lifelessly at Morgan and said monotonously, what? Do you have more to say? So he didn't believe me? Why would he not believe in me? Morgan shook her head and spoke out fervently. Naruto-kun, I did not. I don't wish to listen to your lies anymore. Naruto closed his eyes. I trusted you. Turns out, you deceived me. Is this how you feel about me? What do you want me to say to a liar? Liar? Morgan suppressed her tears of sorrow as she bit her lip. And what about you? Is it true that you are really hiding something in your bedroom? Huh? Answer me. It isn't polite to address someone as a thing, don't you think? A brilliant sparkle of light illuminated beside the blonde before an angelic woman materialized. She had silky silver hair that carried a vibrant tint, a lustrous tan complexion, glossy pink lips and bewitching violet eyes. She wore an exquisite magenta gown, which outlined her captivating curves and her voluptuous bust. Her statuesque beauty rivaled even the succubus's exotic charm. She leaned beside Naruto and purred. I'm Erd, it is a pleasure meeting you. So it's true. Morgan clamped a hand on her mouth to hold her sob down. And to think I believed you. Naruto narrowed his eyes and spoke hollowly. By any chance, you're not expecting me to say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Give me a chance and some time to think. I'll return to your side, so please wait for me. Balling her trembling fists, the succubus stared tearfully at the blonde. Why are you treating me like this? Naruto rolled his eyes. I've started to come to terms with my reality and what I must do to fulfill my destiny. Your reality? I understand now. Morgan nodded in affliction. So you acting as if I'm a traitor to you, as if I'm a scum to you, as if I'm nobody to you, all those are real, huh? What am I to you, Naruto Shuzen? The stain that I want to erase, Naruto responded cruelly. Morgan's heart was broken into pieces as she met Naruto's unapologetic eyes. Her world was crashing down upon her, drowning her in misery and despondence. A lone tear cascaded down her cheek as she glared scornfully at the apathetic blonde. You're really heartless, Naruto Shuzen. You're heartless. Yes. Naruto stared aloof at the succubus. I was originally like this. It is just that I pretended like I wasn't. Morgan looked away as she repressed her tears. The blonde strode past a broken succubus and exited the chamber. Erd grimaced as she watched Morgan collapse onto her knees and weep in poignant sadness. She screamed and screamed until her voice became hoarse, venting her despair in her cries as she hugged her lithe frame. That is a bit too much, isn't it? Erd shook her head and trailed after the blonde. Why are you telling me this? Akua smirked. Because I, too, have a goal to accomplish. And what might that be? Jauro beat a brow. I want to destroy Morgan's land. And for what purpose? The raven-haired vampire sighed. She has become a hindrance to me. Naranai belongs to me. He is my mate. I don't want some whore of a succubus touching my Naranai. The only way is severing their relationship once and for all. And how can I trust you? You want Naranai to ascend into a god of all demons. I want Naranai to become my husband. Our goals might be different, but it is the pathway that matters. Only a descendant of the great Alucard is worthy to become Naranai's wife. I will be his wife and the mother of his children. That is all that matters. Has Alucard's blood driven you to insanity? Jauro grinned. No. It only serves to enlighten me. Akua snickered. With Morgan out of the picture, it makes my goal far easier to reach. Jauro sat with her legs crossed on the balcony, surveying the granite sky filled with glittering stars. Moka's birthday is coming up soon. It will be the perfect time for me to initiate the plan. Soon, my dreams will become a reality. This time, nothing will stop me. What is that all about, Naruto? Erd hollered. Nothing. It's none of your business anyway. The blonde poured himself a cup of wine with his trembling hands, unable to fathom the maelstrom of tribulation in his heart. The goddess shook her head in disappointment. That girl, that succubus, she loves you. She betrayed me. Naruto yelled as he relinquished his hold of his enraged emotions and threw the glass across the room. Erd flinched as the blonde glared fiercely at her with his vicious crimson eyes. She betrayed me, even when I trusted her with my life. She sold me out to that witch. My plan would have been successful if she didn't ruin it. Listen to what you're saying. Plan this, plan that. You're so obsessed with your plans and victory against Jauro that you're losing your reality. This thing is eating you. It's killing you inside out. Naruto, please. Erd grasped Naruto's arms and squeezed. Please, just stop this. Stop this meaningless battle. You can prevent this quandary if you apologize to that girl right now. Apologize? Naruto stared incredulously at Erd. After what she did to me, after what she. The goddess did the inconceivable. She slapped the blonde. I guess you know nothing about women, do you? Erd glared fiercely at the dumbstruck Naruto. Do you think there is a woman in this world who would foolishly jump into a bitter love? Nowhere in this world would there be a woman who will start a love and give up in the end. Do you understand now? You may think she is just a succubus. You may think she is unworthy to you. You may even think she is unfit to be your mate, but no woman starts a love knowing when it ends. The blonde nursed his cheek and scoffed. I don't understand what you're babbling about. Erd stared in disbelief at the ignorant blonde and clicked her tongue in annoyance. Are you this dense, Naruto Shuzen? Even when she knows this relationship is impossible to begin with, she still loves you. She loves you so much, she's hurting herself for it. Don't you get it? She sold me out. She betrayed me. Now tell me, how is that love? I guess you're not as calm and cool as you think you are. Erd folded her arms under her ample bosom. Think with a straight mind. If the person you love is suffering because of you, can you live on like this like nothing has happened? When you're ready with an answer, I'll find you. The goddess sighed as she vanished into glitters of starry sparkles, leaving Naruto in his own device. How could Naruto-sama say this to you? This is just plain overboard. Lilith fumed as she patted her sister's back. This must be a mistake. Kokoa shook her head. Ani-chan would never say that. I guess this is all there is to our love. Morgan wiped the endless tears from her emerald eyes and stifled her hiccups. Palua stood up and clenched her fists. I believe Nai-chan has his reasons for saying that. I know Nai-chan likes Morgan-chan. Guys don't just do things for no reason in front of the girl they like. There's always a reason. I believed in him. The blonde spun around as her curly locks swayed in the air. Moka blinked and tilted her head in confusion. Where are you going, Kalua-ni? I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to confront Nai-chan. Naruto sat under the moonlight as he twirled his glass of wine, contemplating of a certain succubus. The blonde shook his head and grunted in distraught, listening to the rattling of ice cubes in his alcoholic beverage. He didn't wish to lament what he did to Morgan or the tremendous remorse burdening his shoulders. Naruto somewhat couldn't get rid of the dreadfulness lingering in his heart as the succubus's tearful image flashed in his visions. Nai-chan. The blonde blinked and registered Kaluuya's presence. What are you doing here? I have been standing here for 5 minutes. You didn't notice me. The blonde sighed and sat beside her adoptive brother. What are you thinking? Nothing. Naruto lied. You're thinking about her, right? The blonde rolled his eyes and hissed. Let's not talk about anything, shall we? This is not like you, Nai-chan. Kaluuya bellowed. The Nai-chan I know, the Nai-chan I love will never make a girl cry. Is it my mother who is causing all this? I am not blind. I know what kind of person my mother is and I know what kind of things she will do to get what she wants. If this is about her, then report it to father. Tell father about this and let him solve this matter for you. I don't need him or anybody else to solve my problems for me. Naruto responded heatedly. I will settle my scores with your mother. Just stay out of this and go back to your room, Kaluuya-chan. The blonde shook her head. You've changed, Nai-chan. I don't even know you anymore. The Nai-chan I know, he doesn't bottle everything to himself. You're stronger than this. You're wrong. Naruto's eyes illuminated a malicious crimson. I'm not strong. Kaluuya shook her head. No. The Nai-chan I know is confident, righteous, smart and most importantly kind. You are strong. You are stronger than many people that I've seen. Nai-chan, please. Leave me alone. Naruto's vermilion eyes radiated murderous intent as its ferocity intensified. Despite sweating profusely, Kaluuya stood firm. I will always be here for you, no matter how corny it sounds. Just because of some obstacles, just because of some problems that you can't solve, you can find yourself in this gloomy place. You're pathetic, Nai-chan. I told you to leave me alone. The blonde roared, producing a shockwave that decimated the infrastructure of his room as it shook. Kaluuya spun around and walked quietly to the exit. Don't let your darkness and pain consume you, Nai-chan. You will be no different than the god of hell if you continue walking this path of darkness. Naruto watched as the blonde ambled out of the chamber. A malevolent grin plastered on his features as he snickered, the sinister echoes reverberated throughout the hallway. Akasha stared with sorrow before she walked away. I must contact Issa-kun and tell him about Naruto-chan. That boy is turning insane. Akua sharpened her prized katana, which was given to her as a gift by her beloved brother. The sharp metal was polished with glistening silver, and the dark-haired vampire stared with psychotic rage gleaming in her magenta eyes. She performed a delicate swing with her treasured blade and sheathed her weapon. I do not like the fact that this castle's security is ridiculously lax. The shadows within the room rose into existence and demonic creatures materialized, limping towards an unfazed Akua. Flexing her wrist and grasping the sun-glow hilt of her nefarious sword, Akua grinned before she drew her blade, swung it stylishly before withdrawing her weapon back to her scabbard. Simultaneously, the demons ruptured into macabre pieces. She stood up and ambled gracefully towards the remaining, lone monster. It knelt before Akua's threatening aura and hissed. The raven-haired vampire cupped the demon's jaw aggressively and leaned forward. Go back to your hellhole. Tell your master to stay the fuck away from me, because next time, I'll go down personally to hell and kill everyone. Akua jammed a finger on the demon's forehead and a banishing insignia illuminated, vacuuming the grotesque monstrosity into a dimensional rift. I will have to do something with the security here. The raven-haired vampire sighed and stared at the box, with a ribbon tied on it, resting at the side of her room. Moka-chan will love my present. I'm sure of it. Moka's birthday is in 2 days' time. You will be coming back, right? Akasha muttered solemnly to her cell phone. Of course. I always attend Moka-chan's birthday anniversaries. I'm boarding a flight to Russia to settle a meeting before I make my way back to the castle. You know, I was thinking of marrying you and making you my official consort after our Moka's birthday, Akasha. What do you think? The pink-haired vampire blushed. I got more important matters to tell you, Issa-kun. What could be more important than our formal marriage? Akasha sighed. It's about Naruto. There was a noticeable pause on the line. What about him? I don't know how to explain. You must come back quickly to examine him. I'm afraid that boy is turning insane. I don't even recognize him anymore. I believe the seals are broken or some sort, which is indirectly making him unstable. If this keeps up, I don't think even I can ease his bloodlust. That is quite a problem, I see. With the seals malfunctioning, his rationality might go haywire or some sort. Very well. I comprehend the situation. Once I return, I will have a chat with him and examine the seals after my trip. Don't worry and focus on our daughter's birthday bash, okay? Everything will be fine, trust me. Akasha nodded. I truly hope so. The pink-haired beauty hung up her phone and smiled pleasantly at the reflection of the window. How have you been, Erd-san? The silver-haired goddess folded her arms under her bountiful assets and heaved a heavy sigh. It has been a while, hasn't it, Akasha-san? Or should I call you the Dark Lord, Akasha Bloodriver? Akasha spun around and glared lividly at Erd. I have been lenient to your intrusion, Erd-san. However, I can't help but notice that after your arrival to Akashiya Castle, my son has become more and more abnormal. It's hard to imagine what a goddess of your caliber would want from us. I came here by my accord. Erd replied monotonously and shrugged. I'm a fallen goddess who became foolishly attracted to the conqueror's debonair charm. And so, here I am. I will make sure nobody breaks the seals. Right. Akasha was dubious. You do not need to worry about the seals of Armageddon. Issa-kun and I are the guardians of the seals. As long as I live, I will not allow Naruto-chan to transform into that despicable and hideous beast. We do not need an outsider, especially a holy entity, to interfere with our business. You should return where you came from, Erd. This is no place for the likes of you. Erd shook her head. I have already pledged my allegiance to Naruto. Our unbreakable bond is sealed with the contract. I am bound to him. If he wishes to die, I will die with him. If he requires pleasure, I will give my flesh to him. If he desires blood, I will gladly offer mine. You will have to accept me, Akasha. Or maybe I should address you as future mother-in-law. Akasha growled as she narrowed her eyes. I will never acknowledge you. Time will tell. As for Naruto's insanity, I will find a way to save him. He is, after all, my husband-to-be. Erd smiled benevolently. Besides, the seals are imperfect and it is cracking as we speak. You know what that means, don't you? Akasha sighed as she watched the holy goddess vanished into falling feathers. Naruto was bewildered as he stood before a regal cathedral. The thunderclouds hovered atop the palatial church and the blonde felt allured by the lugubrious ambience. He trudged into the gateway and caught a glimpse of an unfamiliar man standing at the Gothic aisle. When the enigmatic person spun around, Naruto was astounded. You. It has been a while, hasn't it? The mysterious man was dressed in a white tuxedo with shawl lapels and shimmering loafers. He exuded a dominating air of aloofness as he smiled with a hint of malevolence at the gawking blonde. The mockery of the fiasco was the fact that he looked identical to Naruto. I almost thought you have forgotten about me. Welcome back to hell, my vessel. You're the voices that I've been hearing all this time. Naruto gritted his teeth with umbrage. I am the enticement. You are the executioner. The conqueror flailed his hands to emphasize his point as he spoke with a dreadful echo. Now that's a difference. So it was you who make me say all those crap to Mori-chan and Kaluya-chan. Naruto roared with exasperation. You sick bastard. What's your motive? What do you want from me? The doppelganger shrugged with nonchalance. Well, it was amusing to see how you struggle to comprehend reality when everything around you is falling apart. Putting that aside, I drag you into your mindscape for a reason. Don't you think our conversation is long overdue, Naruto was seething as he clenched his fists. I don't have time to play mind games with you. You still don't get it, do you? My opinion is the only one that matters. The conqueror snickered as the antiquated furniture levitated in the air, a tantamount to his phenomenal strength. I am not oblivious of the fact that people are trying to shatter the seals of Armageddon in order to revive me. The truth is I was never dead from the start. What is that supposed to mean? You're the receptacle of my powers. I have implanted the essence of my soul into you. The more you utilize your demonic powers, the faster the seals degenerate. The conqueror elaborated, in order to stimulate the deterioration process, you must experience excruciating pain. I even considered killing your loved ones to instigate a reaction from you. You bastard. Naruto charged towards his counterpart with a readied fist, but an almighty shockwave slammed upon him and hurled the blonde to the ceiling. Unyieldingly, Naruto struggled to no avail, while the malignant conqueror guffawed in hysteria. You won't get away with this. Yes. Yes. Keep the fire running. I'll need all that pent-up rage when I take over your body. The conqueror swiped his hand and the telekinetic force dissipated. The blonde fell to the marble ground in a loud thud while his counterpart sneered. You know, I have a fabulous idea. How about this? A wrestling match inside your noggin. I kinda like this idea. Naruto grunted as he growled. What do you think? Just you and me. One-on-one. No tricks. The conqueror smirked. If you win, you get to control all of my unfathomable powers. I win, well that's too bad. Bastard. The blonde roared before he climbed to his feet and dashed towards his adversary. Morrigan removed the ornament from her velvet emerald hair and brushed the silky strands with her hairbrush. She was drowned in melancholy, so much so that she didn't realize a doleful tear had dripped from her eyes and blemished her porcelain skin with smudges of ruined eyeliner. She stared at her reflection and gritted her teeth. You mustn't cry for someone who has tossed you aside. You mustn't, so why does it hurt so much? Morrigan shifted her glance down to her polished nails and balled her fists. Why must love hurt so much? Oh, my dear, I'm sure we can work something up. The succubus was startled before she twirled around, only to see a smirking Naruto leaning against her doorway. He carried an unfamiliar scent of death as he studied her body with lascivious gleam in his eyes. Black flames ignited from his fingertips as he ambled towards the cautious woman. I do owe you an apology for the trauma I have inflicted on you. It is all part of the plan. Plan? Naruto-kun, what are you? Naruto extinguished his flames and caressed Morrigan's reddened cheeks. It must be confusing and painful to see me. The hurtful words I have said to you, the things that I've done, I know it is unforgivable. Naruto-kun, is something wrong? For that instance, the succubus was mesmerized by the dangerous crimson radiating from Naruto's eyes. The abnormal vibe coming from his suave attitude was untypical of the blonde. His smile, laced with an underlying malice, frightened the succubus. Naruto may be a reclusive individual sometimes, but he wasn't enigmatic, at least not to her. Hell, contradicting his statement, there was no sign of remorse from his face. The blonde shook his head and clicked his tongues in disapproval. Wrong? There is nothing wrong. I have come to my senses, my Morrigan. I have been in denial. Foolishness. I didn't know that my selfish war has harmed so many people, especially my loved ones. You have always been supportive of me, but I chose to neglect your feelings. The beautiful succubus stood up and felt her heart pounding rapidly. She retreated to her bed and tumbled to the mattress. Moaning in distress, she tried to recover from her predicament, but Naruto had climbed atop her. Pinning her arms above her head, the blonde smirked with prurient desires gleaming in his demonic eyes. What's wrong, my love? Why do you seem so afraid? You know you're really cute with your bunny eyes. Morrigan swallowed hard as she could feel Naruto's warm breath lingering on her moist skin. Naruto-kun. I don't like your scared face. It irks me. Naruto's eyes illuminated a sinister light as he scowled. Smile for me, bunny eyes. When the blonde realized that Morrigan was trembling in trepidation, he became agitated as he demanded with vehemence in his tone. I said, smile. The terrified succubus tried her best to mask her fear and feigned a weak smile. Naruto softened his stern gaze as he reciprocated with a smile. You know, my beloved, you are pretty when you are scared, but you're even prettier when you smile. Can you truly live without me? Let go of me, Naruto-kun. That won't do. To be honest with you, I know you have feelings for me. It won't be long before you become my woman. Why not we quicken the pace and make you mine now? Morrigan widened her eyes in stupor when Naruto crashed his lips on hers and ripped her shirt apart. She struggled to break free, but Naruto's unearthly strength overpowered her. It was then the succubus realized that the Naruto she knew was different. His authoritative aura and the distinctive cologne he wore were unlike the blonde. There was no passion in the kiss. There was no love. It was just lust. Naruto removed himself from his aggressive kiss and growled at the sobbing Morrigan. I don't understand women. Don't you want love? Don't you want an intimate relationship with me? I'm giving it to you and you're crying. Why are your kind so complicated? We are not complicated. Women are not complicated. Morrigan refuted. We are simple. What we want are also simple. It's because it is so simple, egocentric men like you can never understand. And what is that? The blonde seethed. The succubus stared deeply into Naruto's vermilion eyes and tried to find a trace of familiarity, but she was in dismay. All she saw were hatred and anger. Love, compassion, understanding. Naruto chuckled. How naive. You're not Naruto. Morrigan shivered in consternation as Naruto's lips curled diabolically. You. Jackpot. The blonde leaned forward and whispered huskily. But I do go with many names. Some called me Satan. Others called me the adversary. I personally prefer a specific moniker. The conqueror. The succubus gasped. Then that means. Your beloved Naruto-kun is long gone, sweetheart. Naruto snickered. Don't worry, unlike that weakling, I would make you the queen of a new world, something your Naruto-kun is incapable of. He is too weak-minded. He has no ambitions. Such a man doesn't deserve your love, Morrigan. I am different. My world shall be utopia. At least Naruto-kun won't force himself on me. The succubus retorted. He knows how to control himself. He respects me. He has integrity, unlike you. You are nothing compared to him. The conqueror's eyelid twitched vigorously as he glared with unquenchable anger at the girl beneath him. You dare mock me? Do you even know who I am? It was then Erd entreated the chamber and aimed her palm, decorated with intricate seals, at Naruto. I know who you are, you no good arrogant sack of shit. Destierra ti vuelta al infierno. Banish thee back to hell. The conqueror roared in agony as a white set of angelic seals, which resembled a tribal shaped into a pair of wings, slammed upon his back. He bore his fangs to the culprit and hissed. What is this power? An archangel's devil banishing seals. It is one of the highest levels of banishing seals a holy entity can cast on a demon. An ordinary demon would have been incinerated. Exactly. Beads of sweat formed on Erd's temples as she channeled her seraphic energy into her arms. To be frank with you, my father tasked me to monitor you. My mission is to prevent the conqueror from manifesting, but if I can't stop the process, I will be granted full access to my powers in order to subdue you. What are you doing? You're hurting him. Morgan exclaimed in distress. Open your eyes, Morgan. Erd frowned. That man is no longer Naruto. The Naruto we know is trapped inside his soul. That person in front of you is not the Naruto you love anymore. Get away from him. Morgan nodded hastily and crawled her way out of Naruto's grasp. Erd grunted as the conqueror utilized brute force to shatter the seals. Cracks formed on the wall, and the entire bedroom shook in tremor as steam emitted from the edge of Naruto's mouth. Morgan stood behind Erd and covered her modesty with what's left of her torn clothes. What are you? Get out of here, succubus. I cannot keep him in bay forever. Tendrils of potent power were pumped into the goddess's arm as she imprinted the seals on the conqueror again. What about you? Morgan yelled in solicitude. Erd grinned. Are you concerned about me? We are, after all, love rivals. This is no time for jokes. Let's get out of here together. The succubus placed a hand on the goddess's shoulder. I can't leave you. You have to. Erd turned her attention to Morgan and smiled in uncertainty. Go get Lady Akasha here. She is the only one in this mansion who may be able to subdue the conqueror. Now go. Go and get help. The emerald-haired girl was stunned beyond cognition as she stared at Erd's fearful eyes. You. Stop spluttering and go. Now. Realization dawned upon the succubus as she understood the goddess's plan. Erd was sacrificing herself as bait. Reluctantly, Morgan ran out of the chamber. Erd sighed as she watched the succubus disappear around the corner. When she diverted her sight to her objective, the goddess was shocked by Naruto's disappearance. She scanned her surroundings frantically. Where is he? I guess it's too late for you to plead for mercy. My patience has already reached its limits, Erd. She spun around and was thrown to a wall before she collapsed on the bed. You have miscalculated the fact that I am no ordinary demon. Your banishing insignia won't work on me. I am beyond the level of a demon king. I am the overlord of hell. Naruto straightened his blazer and grinned lewdly. You know, I never have had a goddess as mate before. You will be my first, Erd-chan. Erd's screams went unheard as she was gagged by darkness. Morgan navigated herself through the labyrinths of hallways within the palace and cursed incoherently. Who the hell created this damn place? I need to hurry. I can sense the goddess's presence vanishing. Damn it. It is all my fault. If something happened to that goddess, Why the haste, Morgan? The succubus halted her steps and snapped her infuriated gaze to her back. Jauro. The vampire elder smiled sweetly. Don't bother running. You are trapped in my illusions. You are just running circles. Morgan glared with disdain at Jauro and spat. I don't have time for this. I know the conqueror has awakened. If I am not wrong, right now he must be using the goddess to relieve his sexual desires. After all, he has been imprisoned for years. The vampire elder grinned. And I won't let you disrupt the conqueror's session. I won't let you get to Akasha for help. That woman is nothing but trouble. Then I just have to beat you to it. Morgan's devilish wings sprouted out from her back and spheres of magical energy materialized in her hands. Jauro crossed her arms under her bosom. Beat me? Why are you even helping that wench? Because she saved me. My morals forbid me for abandoning those who have helped me. I know Naruto-kun won't forgive me if he knows I submit to cowardice. I will save that goddess, regardless of our differences. Sparkling particles of raw power enveloped the succubus as her luminous eyes were filled with conviction. If you're not moving, then I just have to defeat you. You have underestimated me. I'll have you know that you are still 1,000 years too early to consider beating me, little girl. The vampire elder winked. Now come to me, sugar. So this part ends here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so quickly like this video for second part of this series. And comment down below your thoughts about this series. And now it's time for me to go, bye.